In the darkness of unresolved stories, there are mysteries that make us shudder and haunt. Strange phenomena, cries for help echoing from the past, or mysterious images are still imprinted in people's minds. Let's explore 6 truly scary stories where fear comes not only from the inexplicable, but also from memories that never fade. 6. The Scary Midget in Argentina. On the night of June 15, 2008, a strange and scary event took place in a small village in Argentina, giving the people here an unforgettable haunting. Jose Alvarez, one of the witnesses to the incident, recorded this video with his cell phone, and what appeared on it raised a storm of fear in the local community. The story begins when Jose and his group of friends are chatting and joking during a regular meeting about their fishing trip. It was around 1 a.m., and the quiet late-night atmosphere was broken only by the laughter of the group. Jose decided to film a little to capture this joyful moment, not knowing that his camera was about to record a scene that neither of them could have imagined. As the light of the cell phone only illuminated the happy faces in the group, a strange sound suddenly broke the silence of the night. It was a strange noise, as if something was being thrown from afar or thrown into the ground. At first, they just thought it might be the noise of a stray dog or some small animal. But when they turned their heads to look towards where the noise was coming from, they began to realize that something unusual was happening. The trees and grass not far away began to move strangely, as if a strong wind was blowing. But the strange thing is that there is no wind at all. Jose's friends felt a sense of unease, and curiosity quickly turned to fear when a small, looming figure appeared in the darkness. The figure was unlike any creature they had ever seen before. It had the shape of a dwarf, with inexplicable lines and movements. As the short figure continued to advance towards them, Jose's group of friends were shocked and frightened. They saw the appearance of this creature like a ghost in the middle of the night, moving quickly and mysteriously. They tried to concentrate and film to record images, but what they saw only made their fear increase. As the appearance of this dwarf creature became more apparent, surrounding locals were quickly called in. They confirmed that they had heard similar stories, and the creature's appearance raised a storm of fear throughout the town. Reports of strange events and signs of mysterious presences have spread, creating a wave of panic and haunting in the community. From then on, life for people in the area never returned to normal. They live in a state of tension and anxiety, always feeling like there is an inexplicable shadow lurking from the dark corners of the night. Stories about the appearance of this dwarf have become an indispensable part of their lives, and people continue to share and discuss the incident nervously, creating a veil of fear. Fear covered the whole village. 5. Evil footprints on a snowy night. On the night of February 9, 1855, a mysterious and macabre phenomenon took place in the countryside of Devon, England. After a light snowfall, mysterious tracks appeared on the snow, creating a thrilling and haunting story for centuries. As night fell and the moon's light reflected on the thin layer of snow, locals discovered strange footprints on the ground. These tracks were shaped like hooves, with widths ranging from 1.5 to 2.5 inches and spaced about 8 inches apart. The strange thing is that these footprints do not simply stop in one area, but also extend throughout the countryside for a total length of more than 100 miles. These tracks pass through a variety of areas, from houses, rivers, haystacks to other obstacles, and always seem to follow straight paths, despite taking turns at various points. Each other. The appearance of these strange footprints becomes even more creepy when they appear on covered roofs and high walls. These tracks continued, leading to and exiting multiple drainage pipes as small as 4 inches in diameter, making the question of their origin even more mysterious. Local people tried to learn and trace these footprints, but their efforts were unsuccessful. They heard rumors of a demon-like figure, a mysterious creature that appeared in the area and created great fear. Confusion and fear spread quickly in the community. The villagers armed themselves and organized hunts to find the monster responsible for these footprints. However, despite all efforts, the monster still cannot be captured or found, and the mysterious footprints continue to remain an unsolved mystery. Stories about these evil footprints have become a part of local history, leaving a deep mark in people's minds. Centuries passed, and on the night of March 12, 2009, strange tracks were once again discovered in Devon, reminiscent of the mysterious footprints of 1855. These new tracks seem to there as a correspondence with traces left over 150 years ago, sparking a new wave of fear and rekindling questions about the existence of this mysterious creature. The evil footprint continues to be a horrifying legend in the minds of the people of Devon, becoming a story of fear and unexplained mystery, making every winter a time of anxiety and nervous. 4. Mysterious sounds from wooden walls. In September 1931, the Irving family living on a remote farm began experiencing strange and terrifying sounds coming from the wooden walls of the house. At first, they thought it was just the scratching sound of a mouse or some other rodent, but quickly these sounds became so diverse and bizarre that they were inexplicable. The noises were just repetitive scratching sounds at first, but then they began to change. Sometimes the sound sounded like a spinning ferret, other times it growled like a ferocious dog, and other times it chirped like a child's laughter. These sounds not only cause anxiety but also make the atmosphere on the farm heavy and tense. One day, this invisible creature decided to reveal itself in the strangest way. It started making noises, introducing itself as Jeff, a mongoose. According to the only daughter in the family who could clearly see the creature, Jeff was the size of a small mouse, with yellow fur and a bushy tail. Jeff claims that he was born in New Delhi, India in 1852. Jeff didn't stop at introducing himself. This creature also publicly makes strange statements about himself. It claims to be an extremely intelligent mongoose, a spirit living on Earth, and even a ghost in the form of a weasel. Jeff frequently talks about his bizarre abilities, even declaring, "I'm a freak. I have arms and legs, and if you saw me, you'd faint. You'd turn to stone, become a mummy or a pillar of salt." Rory Irving, who took Jeff under his wing and was an important part of the creature's story, died in 2005. In an interview published at the end of his life, Rory asserted that Jeff was not a hoax or a product of the imagination. According to Rory, the story about Jeff is true and the strange phenomena on the Irving family farm are real, even though they cannot be explained rationally. Jeff's mysterious sounds and strange statements have become an inseparable part of the ghost story in Irving family history, leaving a deep and macabre mark on the minds of those who have visited him. Go through them. 3. The mysterious disappearance of James Worson. On September 3, 1873, James Worson, a man famous for his breakaway running ability and pride in his footwork, accepted a risky challenge to race from the town of Leamington to the town of Coventry, a distance of 20 miles. Worson bragged about his abilities and pledged to complete the race in record time. His statements have attracted attention, and now he must prove it with real actions. Two of Worson's friends, Hammerson Burns and Barham Wise, followed him on a horse-drawn carriage, while Burns, his companion, brought a camera to capture important moments. These people never took their eyes off Worson, frequently turning back as he ran to exchange a few words of friendliness and encouragement. The race went smoothly until one unexpected and terrifying moment. As Worson continued the race, suddenly he staggered and rushed forward in a bizarre move. Only a short scream pierced the air before everything descended into chaos. Burn and Wise, who were watching from a carriage, described the sound as the most horrifying either of them had ever heard. Instead of falling to the ground, Worson seemed to continue rushing forward with a blood-curdling cry. But what was more terrifying was that just before he was about to touch the ground, Worson suddenly disappeared completely, as if swallowed by the autumn air. The whole road, with soft soil and blurred footprints, was silent, as if no strange event had ever happened. Burns, who recorded the entire incident, took photos to prove this. Worson's footprints, which were no longer clear, stopped suddenly in the middle of the road, as if he had been swept away by an invisible force. The last traces looked as if a person was stumbling, and then suddenly disappeared. An urgent search organized by local people, with the participation of many search teams and hunting dogs, was deployed to find traces of Worson. However, As search teams approached the spot where Warson disappeared, the hounds became insistent and reluctant, unable to detect any traces. The strange disappearance of James Warson has become an inexplicable mystery, leaving a big question mark in the hearts of people and witnesses. Although search efforts were fruitless, the story of Warson and his disappearance lives on in the memories of survivors, a macabre mystery that has never been solved. 2. Larry's mysterious call for help. August 7, 1973, became an unforgettable day for many New Mexicans when CB radio broadcast a desperate message. The voice of a young boy who identified himself as Larry rang out over the radio with painful cries for help. Larry said he was trapped in a red and white pickup truck with his father, who he believes had a heart attack and died shortly after the vehicle overturned into a ravine. According to Larry, both doors of the pickup truck were stuck closed and could not be opened. In a panic, Larry tried to call for help via radio, hoping someone would hear and come help. The boy's voice grew weaker over time, and his signal began to fade after a few days. However, not only New Mexico, but also neighboring states such as California, Wyoming, and Arizona heard these desperate cries for help. Immediately, a search and rescue was initiated. Authorities and volunteers devoted all their efforts to searching for Larry in the pickup truck. A helicopter pilot, on a search mission over the Manzano Mountains in New Mexico, reported that he had received contact from a boy calling for help, but he called himself David instead of Larry. This information raises many doubts about the authenticity of the call. The search became more complicated when a family traveling from Missouri, reported missing on August 11th, had a son named Larry. The family was found on August 12th and confirmed that they did not have any of the situations Larry described. This raises further doubts about the authenticity of the call for help. An Army sergeant stated that he was in contact with the boy for 3 hours, but was unable to gather more specific information such as his phone number or address. Efforts to find Larry continue, but it appears his signal has been cut off as the transmitter's battery may have died. The official search was called off on August 13th, when police stated that there was no concrete evidence to confirm Larry's existence. They theorized that if the boy was real, he might have passed away early when the transmission stopped. However, some people continue to believe that Larry's story is not a hoax. Those who heard the boy's cries and the desperation in his voice still swore it was true. Although many people are skeptical and suspect that this story could be a hoax, the truth about Larry remains an unsolved mystery. The painful call for help from young Larry left a deep mark in the minds of witnesses and continues to be an inexplicable horror story. 1. The mysterious case in Isdalen Valley. On November 29, 1970, a hike into the wilderness of Norway's Isdalen Valley turned into an unimaginable nightmare. When a family's 2 daughters stumble upon the charred remains of a young woman, it's not only the horror of the discovery that makes them shudder, but also the mysterious details surrounding the incident, making it an unexplainable mystery. The remains were only charred debris scattered around by a large amount of sleeping pills and gasoline bottles. The victim's clothing had been completely removed, and all fingerprints had been scraped off. The dental screening performed showed that techniques unique to Latin America were applied. This clue leads to questions about the origin and motive of the case. The case became more complicated when bodies were discovered in 2 suitcases at the Nets train station in Bergen. In the victim's luggage, police found a skin cream prescription with the doctor's name erased, several pieces of broken glass with partial fingerprints, and 500 Deutschmarks, equivalent to about $350, hidden under the lining of one of the suitcases. Investigation revealed that this woman had moved around Europe under 9 different names. In her diary, there were cryptic notes that the police tried to decipher. These codes list locations where she was a witness, along with notes stating that she wore a wig when traveling and was fluent in multiple languages such as French, German, English, and Dutch. Lan. She stayed at several hotels in Bergen, where she always requested a room with a balcony and frequently ordered porridge with milk for room service. 5 days before the body was discovered, a local man, while hiking, came across a very elegant woman on a remote trail. He noticed that she did not have clothes suitable for going out and that her face was distorted with fear. The woman seemed to be trying to say something to him, but she was being closely followed by two large men wearing black coats. This man waited 32 years before going public with his story. When he contacted the police to report his findings, the officer simply told him to forget it, claiming that the case would never be solved. Although time has passed and many details have been forgotten, the mystery of this young woman's death continues to arouse curiosity and concern. The case not only haunted those who witnessed it, but also became one of the unsolved mysteries in criminal history. These stories are not only scary anecdotes, but also big question marks in our minds. Every story carries a mystery, an unexplainable fear, making us wonder, is there something else lurking in the darkness? Let these stories continue to live forever in your mind, like obsessions that never go away.